Hey everybody, it's Brooke with The Buttered Home and welcome to my messy kitchen. Today we kick off our month of Made in Alabama, and I am showing you a very flavorful way to have ribs any time you want them. And we are going to use our trusty electric pressure cooker to do so. So I know what you're thinking. It's not going to be the same as slow cooked ribs outside over smoke and all that good stuff. But I promise you, if you just give them a try just one time, you'll be happily surprised. And the secret is what you do in the kitchen. Like with any good barbecue recipe, it all starts with your rub. And we're going to show you how to get all the flavor that you would normally get from smoking or grilling ribs outside in the kitchen without all of that. The weather's about to be cold and it's hard on Big D to stand out there all day with a rack of ribs. So I like to do this in the winter months because it makes our lives easier and we can have ribs anytime we want them and we don't have to babysit them for hours at a time. So we're going to start with our pressure cooker, and as usual I have washed and stored my pot inside. That is key for using this thing because it is virtually a very hot plate, so you don't want to start throwing things in and you do it right on the burner. So I always wash this and store it inside the unit itself to keep that from happening. So we are also going to be using the trivet that came with it, and what this will do is this allows the ribs to set up off of the bottom so that they get steamed all the way around and really get that flavor infused from what we're going to add in. So the first thing, and the thing that we always want to use when we cook in our pressure cooker, is liquid of some sort. I like to say that broth and water are really two staples in anything that you're going to cook in these things. If you use tomato sauce or a creamier canned soup and rely on that to solely be your only liquid, then you might get the burn message. So we're going to put in 1 cup of regular water, and then we're going to put in 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. This will help give the ribs that smoky taste that they would get if you were, say, getting them smoked at a restaurant or outside. That apple cider vinegar, when the vinegar cooks off, well, first, the vinegar helps tenderize the meat. Second, when the vinegar cooks off and tenderizes the meat, then you're left with that smoky apple flavor that will combine with all of these things that we're about to put together. So in a small bowl, we're going to mix up several things. And I forgot one, so let me get it. I meant to get it out before we started, but that's okay. So in a small bowl, we are going to make our rub, and this is not a dry rub. We add a couple of components that make it a wet rub. And in my opinion, there is no difference in a dry and a wet rub. I just find that a wet rub tends to do better in the pressure cooker itself to help retain moisture in the meat. And also, we're going to finish these in the oven, so that helps with that process as well. So in a small bowl, I have 1 teaspoon of brown sugar. Into that, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of coarse sea salt. You can use regular salt, it doesn't matter. I just like the texture of that coarse sea salt a lot. Then 1 teaspoon of pepper, black pepper. And we're going to grind that in. Okay. And then to that, we're going to add the secret ingredient. And this month, we're featuring products that are made in Alabama. Now, I'm not getting paid for this. These are things that I use in my personal kitchen that I am sharing with you guys because they're just good. And they're made here in my home state of Alabama. And this is Southern Flavor Original Charbroil seasoning. They have lots of different seasonings, and I'll link their website in the show notes for the video so that you can go and get you some. But this is the original charbroil seasoning, and it is just a charbroil powder. see it's black, and oh, it smells really good, and it smells just like something's been on the barbecue grill. So it's really nice. So we're gonna add 1 teaspoon, and a little goes a long way, 1 teaspoon of Southern Flavor, and that's our featured made in Alabama product for this month. So I'm gonna leave it sitting right here so you can see it and you'll know what it is, and they have a website and you can order from them directly. Then we're going to add in 1 teaspoon of garlic. Now I like to use minced garlic, but I'm out at the moment, so I'm going to add in garlic powder, which is fine. Either way, what you have is your best ingredient, and I have garlic powder, not garlic salt, but garlic powder. So we've already added the salt component to this. Then we are going to add in a teaspoon of chili powder. And while it does seem like a lot, it's mostly all a teaspoon of everything. So as long as you're, if you're doubling or halving the recipe, if you just remember to use the same amounts of everything except for the salt is double what everything else is naturally. Then we're going to add in a teaspoon of smoked paprika. And the chili and the smoked paprika add a lot of that smoky flavor, but also add color to the rub. Then we have a teaspoon of onion powder, and that goes in. And then we're going to add in a teaspoon of maple syrup. And a teaspoon of prepared yellow mustard. And I'm not going to measure this because I know what a teaspoon looks like, and I've already gotten maple syrup on my thing. So let me make sure I've got everything. We have 2 teaspoons of salt, a teaspoon of black pepper, Southern Flavor, garlic, chili, onion powder, paprika, smoked paprika, brown sugar, mustard, and maple syrup. So we're going to mix that up, and it's going to be wet, but not like really wet. It's going to be more like a paste. And if you use the minced garlic would also help kind of make it just a little pastier. Oh, and it smells good already. But see, it's a dark color, and it's more or less a paste. So be prepared to get your hands dirty. So I have just a small rack of back ribs, and I am going to take this mixture and half it and put it directly on the ribs. And goodness, it smells so good. Let me get my paper towel ready. And then I'm just going to rub it in lightly, massaging it into the meat. Now, if you are using a rack of ribs that still has that silver skin on it, you're going to want to remove that before you do this. This one did not. This one already came with it removed, but that is just that white film that's usually on ribs. And while this recipe is for pork ribs, it'll work for beef ribs too. So we're going to turn that over, and then we're going to take the rest of our rub and rub that in on the other side. Make sure we get the edges nice and covered. And then we're simply going to take those ribs and we're going to turn them kind of into a horseshoe shape and then place them on that trivet. And I like to take the ends and just kind of tuck them down in that trivet. And let me get my hands washed and I'll pick that up and show you what that looks like. So this is also a fun recipe to do with kids. Kids, I find, really like to get their hands dirty. They like to get in and make recipes with you that involve them getting you know, a hands-on approach. So this is one that's kind of unexpected that you might do with the kids and let them be in charge of making the rub and applying the rub onto the ribs. So that's a fun little thought for you. So I'm going to carefully pick this up, and I apologize, I'm filming by myself so we don't have the nice overhead shots. But here are the ribs in there, and I've kind of got them tucked in. So we're going to place the lid on. We're going to seal the vent, and then we're going to set this for 20 minutes. I know, that doesn't seem like enough time, but you'll have to trust me on this that it is. In 20 minutes, they'll be done. They'll have a wonderful internal temperature of somewhere between 165 and 180, which is what you're looking for. And then we will take them out, place them on a bacon rack, and put them under the broiler so that they can get nice and brown and crispy around the edges. That gives you the same effect that you would have if you had put them on a smoker or on the grill. So we're going to cook these, then we're going to come back and we're going to show you what they look like before we put them in the broiler, and then we'll come back again and show you the finished product and how they just fall off the bone. So we'll be right back. Hey everybody, we are back and we have finished our 20-minute cook time in the electric pressure cooker, and I wish you would just look at these guys. They actually are already starting to pull away from the bone. So they're completely cooked. I tested them with my meat thermometer and they came in around 175 degrees, so they're perfect. Now, they have plenty of color on them for me, but if you wanted to crisp them up just a little bit, you could certainly take them and put them under the broiler in the oven for about 2 to 3 minutes on each side. And just for, like I like them like this, served with a side of barbecue sauce. They don't necessarily have to be crispy for me, but just for the sake of showing you the full recipe, we're going to show you what that looks like, and we'll be back to show you that in just a minute. All right, everybody, we are back. We have finished 2 to 3 minutes under the broiler on each side of these beautiful ribs. And see, they've crisped up just enough. The color hasn't changed because our rub was sort of dark already, and it gave nice color to them whether you broil them or not. The broiling is simply just to make them just a little crisp on the outside. Now, certainly, at the very end, you can baste these with your favorite barbecue sauce, or you can serve it on the side like we have. And y'all, I just want to show you, they're really hot. But this meat just falls right off of the bone, and they are hot, hot, hot. But it just, I can't do it. It's too hot. But it just pulls away from that bone so that, and y'all know I don't like to eat on camera because I don't like people watching me eat. So when you take a bite of it, that meat just pulls away from that bone and you get the perfect bite every time. So I will take one bite. So one bite's not so bad. But y'all, they're perfect. You can add your sauce if you want to. I think they're fabulous just like this because that flavor profile that we had in the rub is enough to eat them just as is. So as usual, from the buttered home to your home, we hope that you try this recipe and breathe new life into your rib game so that you can have them even on a Tuesday night. And don't forget to check out our friends over at Southern Flavor Seasoning. They have a lot of great options and they will ship direct to you. And that is made in Alabama. So this is our first installment of Made in Alabama, and we hope you enjoyed it. Be sure, if you're not already, that you're following us on all our social platforms because we provide content everywhere, and sometimes it's the same and sometimes it's different. It just depends on how busy I am that week. But we would also love for you to be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure that you ding the bell so that you can be notified when we drop new videos like this one. Y'all, as usual, I would also love if you would go check out all of our recipes over at thebutteredhome.com. We're real proud of our website. We work very hard. Big D and I both have full-time jobs, and this is a hobby of ours that we kind of fit in the cracks. Some pretty big cracks because we're all over the place, but we enjoy it. We enjoy our fellowship time with you, and we hope that you do too. And we would always appreciate a share for this video. Y'all, we love y'all. We hope that you'll join us next week for another Made in Alabama segment and for the rest of the year. And we've already started working on 2022, so I'm really excited about that. We don't really have a theme per month. It's going to be more or less a appetizer or a bread, a main dish, a side dish, and a dessert every month. And some will be lightened up and some will not be. Some will be traditional Southern fare, but we will also be showing you how to make Southern a little on the skinny side too. So we would love it for you to join us from now on. From the buttered home to your home. We love you guys. Bye.